Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Baylor Athletics Hall of Fame, Todd Cooper.
Wow, thank you. Gentlemen, let me tell you the difference between us and the ladies. Last night in the motel room, I found some tissue, and I jotted down a few notes. Lenka has something over there that's more pages than I've written. Well, my girlfriend has written research papers for me that had less pages than that. But I married her. She's right there. The biggest question is, when I was writing this down, I was wearing reading glasses. So then I got, well, I think I'm good without them. Anyway, thank you. I'm extremely humbled and honored to be here. I spent some time around the Baylor athletic program, and I know the type of people and athletes that have come through this program, and I'm honored to be a part of this family. I have a few thank yous. I'd like to start out back in high school. I'd like to thank my high school track and basketball coach was the same person. Without him, I definitely wouldn't be standing here. He challenged me in a way that no other coach had ever challenged me to be as good as I could be, work as hard as I could be, and he made all the initial contacts to the athletic department at Baylor. I had no idea where. I'm from Missouri, by the way, just outside of Kansas City, and that's where I went to high school. He made all the initial contacts, encouraged me to work hard and set my goals high, and that's basically what I did, and that's still how I live my life today, basically. I'd also like to thank my parents. I know they weren't too thrilled when I decided to go 666 miles away, as my father liked to remind me after he dropped me off at Brooks Hall and drove home with my mother crying for 666 miles. He said, I set the odometer, Todd, and when I got home it said 666. And Mom cried all the way home. It wasn't. I didn't know a single person. I didn't even come for I think some of the freshmen have an initiation or something. The first time I showed up on this campus was 2 days before class, I think. Anyway, so I'd like to thank my parents for at least giving me that opportunity. I know there's parents that wouldn't even give their children that opportunity. They say, hey, you're going to go to school here, and this is it, and that's it. And my parents, they weren't like that. Unbelievable. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my head track coach here, the legendary Clyde Hart. I don't know if he's here tonight. I think I see Danny Brabham, Coach Brabham back there. But I want to thank him for just taking a chance on a skinny little kid from Missouri and giving me a scholarship. I was a fairly high recruited athlete in high school, but I wasn't the number one recruited pole vaulter in the nation by any stretch. But he saw something in me, and he recruited me, and I'd like to thank Coach Clyde Hart. I'd like to thank my pole vault coach here at Baylor. His name was Carl Erickson. He kind of came about my sophomore year. We kind of fumbled around my freshman year here and trying to figure some things out and had some success. But my sophomore year, we got a guy that dedicated an unbelievable amount of his time to us and efforts, and things really started to take off our sophomore years. I'd really like to thank my college teammates, my roommates. Yeah, I had some of the most unbelievable teammates and roommates. Some of them surprised me today and bought a table down there. The pole vault teammates of mine that I had were some of the best pole vaulters in the country. David Hodge and Dr. Michael Chaffee right down there, who surprised me with a bunch of my old teammates and some athletes of mine. They were great pole vaulters. They both won a conference championship. They were both All-Americans. Somehow I was just lucky enough to maybe come up on the upper hand most of the time when we competed. We were unbelievably competitive with each other to a fault. We pushed each other hard, every day in practice. Gosh, I knew if I could just go win practice. If I could go win practice for the day, I could go win any track meet, basically. I mean, that's how good my teammates were. But we do each, but as competitive as we were like brothers, and we would do anything for each other to this day. David Hodge and Michael Chaffee. And in fact, in the 1985 NCAA Outdoor Championships, we all three placed in the top 5. We all three jumped 18 feet or higher in that meet. And that's the first time and the last time that's ever been done at the NCAA Outdoor Championships. And it was in Austin. Yeah. That's right. In 1989, I had a chance to come back and coach here. I inherited an unbelievable group of athletes that had kind of been recruited, thanks to Mike and David and I, if you will. And we had an unbelievable run when I got to coach here. I think at one time we had 7 pole vaulters jumping 17 feet or higher. And at that time, there was probably 20 or 25 guys jumping that high in the entire nation. We had 7. And of those 7, 3 of those are jumping 18 feet or higher, and out of those 3 that jumped 18 feet or higher, one of those being your present pole vault coach sitting right over here, Brandon Richards, was one of my former pole vaulters when I came back here. And one of those actually went on and broke the NCAA record, jumped 19 feet 2 3/4, and he's already been inducted into this Hall of Fame a few years ago. His name was Bill Payne. The last 22 years, I've been fortunate enough to kind of run my own training facility. I've been fortunate enough to send a few of my athletes here to Baylor University. Last summer, we had a young man that was a junior on the track team that made the Olympic team. His name was Lightfoot. He was one of my former athletes that I worked with in my training facility, and I think he got 4th place at the Olympic Games this summer. Is that correct, Brandon? Brandon did a great job with him. Another one of my former athletes sat at that table over there. He's a freshman from Nebraska. That's going to keep the tradition going. And that's basically all I got to say. Thank you. And I'm humbled, I'm honored, and sick and bears.